The Wizard of Oz is a pretty amazing story because of one concept that I think applies a lot more than some of us want to admit that it does. And the concept is that everything that you want, everything that you need, everything you're longing for is often right in front of you. And the only thing you have to do is focus on an aspect of yourself. And in Dorothy's case, it was her shoes that she could click together. And what you will have is exactly what you wanted, to be in the place that you wanted to be. And so it kind of reminds us that sometimes we're overlooking the very thing that we need, or the very truth that is staring us in the face. And there were two examples of this that came to my mind recently. I was thinking about something, and it's so common that I'm sure that every one of you have heard this statement. When I was growing up, there were people who would say, "Why would a man buy the cow when he can get the milk for free?" And that was supposed to incentivize young women to be pure and virginal and save themselves for marriage. And I think that it worked on a lot of people, because there's still a lot of men and women who will say that. But there's a kind of sinister idea embedded in that I think a lot of people overlook. Why would you buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? And the sinister idea is that, according to this thought process, the only reason that a man wants to marry is to have access to sex, not to have a relationship, not to get to know a woman and build a life with her, not to have children and parent those children with her, not to make memories with her, not to love her, but literally to have access to her body. And that is what a woman is being encouraged to save herself for, to save herself for a man that only sees her as a body and only wants to use the parts of her body that can benefit him in a sexual way. When you look at that full-fledged, head-on, why would any woman want to refrain from intercourse to give herself as a pure, untouched woman to a man who only wants her for her body and could care less about anything else about her? Then there's another statement, "Make America Great Again," or "America was founded as a Christian nation." Both of these sound good if you don't think about them at all. Because the first question that comes to a lot of people's minds with the first statement is, when was America great? Now, there are a lot of great things about America, but America as a whole also has a lot of issues with its past, with women, with minorities, with child labor, with all kind of different things. So when you go to the past, It is not just sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of darkness in the past that we have learned was tragic and abusive and not something to be tolerated. So you cannot just gloss over that and act as if America was completely great with no downside. The other statement, America was founded as a Christian nation, it goes against many glaring details and facts that most of us should know. First off, there were basically two groups that came over to America and started the colonies. The first was all of the rejects that Britain wanted to get rid of. That was your unemployed people, sometimes some of your deranged or mentally incapacitated people, convicts. A lot of those people were sent over as indentured servants or as basically cheap labor to get the colonies started. So in that aspect, America is like one of those movies where, you've got the island where you send all the people that you don't want on your pristine shores. Then the second group of people that came over were people who were very skeptical of most of the religions that existed in Britain. And so they came over for religious freedom. You had basically two different groups of those people who were deists and rationalists, and that's most of our founding fathers, who went to church but also believed in strict limits on religion so that it didn't become overbearing and take over the country. And then you had the Puritans who outlawed everything, playing cards, anything that didn't have to do with work or the Bible or church was outlawed. So when you talk about making America great